here we go. We are on location, as this is, just doing something a little bit different. As you can see, we're driving. We're actually heading down to the Philadelphia area. We're going to be catching Philadelphia Sixers game tonight. So that's on location reporting for Mental Conditioning Sports. So it's always good to be able to get, go live and see these games live. We're looking to do that a little bit more in the very near future with Mental Conditioning Sports. We will be in the building for multiple sporting events. We're going to do basketball, obviously. We're going to do the boxing, of course, a little football, a little baseball. But we're going to be looking to get into some of these events. We're trying to bring it to you live and direct as we are on the journey driving up there. We still got the normal team in the back. You know who I am?
Isaiah.
So, we're trying to get it going. Mom is in the background producing the show as she always does and giving us a little bit of help. So welcome to On Second Thought show on the Mental Conditioning Podcast. Welcome once again. I don't have my bell today, but so we will have to be able to do that today in lieu of the bell. So lots of things to talk about on the table. I think this is probably going to be in segments, so we got to do the best we can with it. But we had an interesting day on location. Actually, yesterday we drove into the New Jersey area, and we got a chance to check out some of the local, or not local, this is from all over, some of the high school prospects, some of the high school talent out there. And there was some really good talent that we saw. We saw the semifinals between the girls and the boys. So it was some great talent out there. Carmelo Anthony's son was out there competing. He had a good game. One of the young females out there. A lot of young talent. I'll let the guys kind of talk a little bit about, what did you guys see from a competitive standpoint? I thought particularly the female games was very, very competitive. Great talent. What did you guys see? Isaiah, what did you think?
I mean, I pretty much see the same thing. Female games are a lot more competitive. In the male games, I don't remember both of them are blowouts, but I'm pretty sure both of them were blowouts. I'm not even gonna lie. Very impressed with the females and how they performed. Very impressed with the winning teams that played with the men. Zen Craft females. Wow. Kiyan Anthony for the boys. They all played well. There was another girl. I don't remember what team it was, but me and Aaron had walked around the mall to get Starbucks during their game. We came back. Yes. They won. It's number 5. I don't remember what team it was, but she had like 27 points, 11 rebounds, and 4 blocks. Yes. Nasty stat line. That was really good.
Yes. Yeah. We try to get that name for you guys and give her just doing her credit, but she was sensational. That's kind of like Jokic numbers, if you would, but she was definitely sensational. It's always interesting to see the younger talent coming out there and to see, their work ethic. I thought the kids played extremely hard. And they were just all over the floor, diving for loose balls. In some cases, I thought it was just overmatched. I thought that way in the men's. The boys' games seemed like, it's a little bit of a situation where it was overmatched. But no lack of effort, which that part to me was very, very impressive. And the teams were competing really hard. Aaron, what did you think about what you saw yesterday?
I felt the same way as everyone else. I mean, the games girls were competitive, and the boys was kind of just a blowout the whole entire time. And I felt like the girls, both teams were there to really compete. And not to say that the boys, both teams didn't want it, but yeah, I mean, it was a clear winner who was really better. The girls, you can kind of argue with it. I think the second game they lost by like 10 or something, but it's kind of like closer than what the boys were, because one of the boys, I think the first game they got blown up by 30. I mean, it was bad, but I just think the women were a lot more competitive yesterday. But I enjoyed all the games.
Me too. I definitely enjoyed all the games. Let's get you guys quick thoughts on the journey that we're going to be doing right now. Again, we're going up to the Philadelphia area. I guess we can kind of talk about this too. It's a little disappointing because, frankly, Philadelphia, everybody's hurt. We're going to be going up against Miami. So, I'm looking to kind of see what the vibe is like. This is just one of those things, even for the league, taking a look at, with all these injuries, how does this affect the crowd? I don't know how you guys feel about it. It's certainly a little bit of juice left me in terms of knowing that it's Embiid. There's no Paul George. I asked you guys earlier, was Maxey playing? Maxey's also out. So that takes a lot away from the game from me. Just kind of going in. Let's see what happens once we get there. So what do you guys think about that in terms of, these teams going out there with no superstars? That's it.
I mean, you really get to see what they got on their bench. You really get to see what players can play and what players can't. Some of these guys that just be sitting on the bench can really play basketball really well, but they just never ever get the time to shine, especially in Philly when you got Paul George, Tyrese Maxey, and Joel Embiid. Quentin Grimes is on a sensational run right now.
Yes.
And everybody's surprised.
Yes.
Even you said it's like, Quentin Grimes can play.
Great point.
It's just he never gets the chance to play how he's playing right now. Quentin Grimes, in my opinion, right now is looking like he could be a solid second option.
Yes.
On a good team.
Yes.
I mean, dude's averaging about like 25 points per game on his run. That's incredible. No random NBA player who sits the bench can do that. So this guy clearly has a bunch of talent, and maybe there's a lot more talent on the bench too.
No, definitely. I definitely agree with that. Same thing, I guess, to a certain sense, with Miami, Aaron. The same thing, because their guys are not hurt, but let's be honest. The juice seems to be gone from Miami, with Jimmy Butler being gone. Not sure if anybody feels that they had the juice with him there. So, your thoughts on Miami? To close out the season, is it all over? And do you think that they definitely need to make wholesale changes going into next season? My guy Pat Riley, I'm sure will do it. But what are you thinking about Miami?
It never really started. That's all I gotta say. It never really started.
Yeah, no. Listen, I can't disagree. You definitely disappointing year. I think you'll see Pat Riley make wholesale changes going into next year. I think we talked about that last week. For some reason, I don't know why. I feel like Zion is going to end up in Miami. We'll see. But it'll be interesting, again, to check out the vibe down in Philadelphia. What's the crowd like? I know we talked about that a few weeks back, and just in some of these arenas, it's being super disappointing in terms of there's just no energy there. So I'm hoping to have some good energy. I know last night with the high schoolers, there was pretty good energy in the room, particularly once the young men came on there. I know a lot of people was excited to see my little son play, and so the energy was there for them. And so I'm looking to see what the energy is for the NBA. That's crazy to be like, what? I'm comparing it to high school. No disrespect to the high school kids, but it is high school and pro. So I'm very curious to see what the energy is going to be like going into the game tonight. Should be very, very interesting. So we'll see.
Can we say why we chose Philly as the place to go?
Basically, it was just convenience. It was just the convenience of it. Very difficult to get into Madison Square Garden. That's another issue, if you would, in terms of getting into the Garden is very, very expensive. It's very difficult to get a ticket. So Philadelphia was readily available. Probably some of that is simply because, let's be honest again, they're not doing well. They don't have their superstars. And so that's one of the reasons why. And it's a fairly easy commute for us. It's about 2 hours out. We're going to grab a Philly cheesesteak as well. So all of those things do kind of come into play as to why we're up here. And, well, I will say this too. Let's end this first segment on something that, Isaiah said that, we got to get it in. I've been apprehensive to talk about it, but it just keeps on growing and growing and growing legs. So let's get into it. This thing with Stephen A. Smith and LeBron James just keeps on keeping on, if you would. I've had it from day one, but it just seems like it's not stopping. So let me let the guys get their take on it, and I'll kind of finish it up. What you guys think with the ongoing, quite frankly, soap opera, men's soap opera? Isaiah?
It's annoying, in my opinion. All this back and forth stuff. Stephen A. says this, LeBron goes on the podcast this, and Stephen A. says another thing on First Take. And it really didn't make sense to me, because Stephen A. started off this whole thing talking about some you know, Braun, if you had something to say to me, if you had a problem with me, you should have called me privately, and you know, we could have discussed things. You have a way to contact me. Now he's the guy every week on First Take got something to say about LeBron James, whether it's the beef, whether it's how he played last night. I think Josh Giddey hit a half-court game winner. He's like, LeBron, you've been in the game too long. You can't do that. What do you want me to do, bro? What do you want me to do? Dude hit a half-court game winner, and it's not like we left him wide open. People was up court with him. What you want me to do? It's just annoying, bro. Stephen A, you're a fan, bro. Let's be honest, you're a fan. I mean, it's just annoying. Y'all gotta stop. Y'all grown men. I don't even know how old Stephen A is, but he's acting like a kid. You gotta stop.
Yeah, I agree. Aaron?
I'm not gonna entertain the situation. I mean, it is what it is. The guy wants to run his mouth. He's gonna run his mouth. I don't really know what to say about the situation. It's all just kind of stupid to me. It's pointless. It make no sense to me.
Yeah, you know, I definitely, again, I would agree with Aaron's sentiments. You know, I mean, everybody's talking about it, so we kind of, you know, Isaiah, which I don't disagree with him, like, you know, I guess kind of going to address it, but trying to address it, frankly, in a different light. I don't like it, you know, from the standpoint of, you know, it's just, to me, almost sensationalism, almost trying to take advantage, quite frankly, of the public, and creating just unnecessary dissension. You know, I heard Stephen A the other day, you know, just kind of hinting, oh, if I was to tell you the stuff that I know about LeBron James, what are we doing?
He listed a couple of stuff.
Like what?
He got real personal. He's like something about the Kobe Bryant Memorial, which he later apologized, like, nah, LeBron was there. But he's like, you know, Bron, why wasn't you there? Why was you at the Lane Wade's Hall of Fame?
What are we doing?
What does that got to do with the situation at hand, bro? Why you got to put my personal business out there? What's wrong with you?
What are we doing? I know. Listen, it's just one of those things that, to me, you know what? It's funny. I was at a men's organization meeting the other day. We're talking about, you know, what's a strong man look like, and, you know, to me, some of the qualities of a strong man is just being able to say, whatever. You know what I mean? This is a situation where you have two successful men, right? You know, LeBron James is a successful, obviously, man, one of the most successful athletes in the history of not just the sport, but just in the country, in the world. Stephen A. Smith has carved quite a career out for himself, whether you like what he does or not. He's a top earner in the sport. He just signed a huge contract, which is unheard of for a reporter. And so, what are we doing? You know what I mean? It's two successful guys just degrading themselves into a soap opera situation where, again, no one seems to want to be the bigger person, or just frankly just leave it alone. Like, honestly, who really cares? But I guess people do care. I guess that's part of it too, is that, you know, people do care. It's forced us to kind of talk about it. I guess we could leave it alone too, but just felt like, you know what, we'll make a quick statement on it and try to push it in a direction that's kind of different from what everybody else is doing. And I think it's also a lesson for sports as well. I think, you know, this is the mental conditioning podcast, and we do talk about you know, mental conditioning in sports here, and mindset. And I think that's one of the things that when you're competing, it's really about being able to leave certain things behind that happens to you, whether you're competing on the basketball floor, whether you're competing in a bowling alley, whether you're competing in a golf course, a baseball field, a football field. You know, you have to be able to say, okay, that happened, you know, good or bad, put it aside, move on to what the big picture is and what the goal is. Obviously, for LeBron James, just the goal is to play basketball at the highest possible level he can. For Stephen A. Smith, seemingly the goal should be just to report on sports, not really on, you know, personal stuff. So, and I think that's something that, you know, it's a shame, because it filters into all aspects of our lives. So let's stop doing that. We'll put that to bed here on the On Second Thought show. No more of that nonsense. We'll move on from it, but we gave our last statement on that. Then let's just move on. Let's get to Philadelphia. Let's get to the game. Let's see what we got. Maybe we'll even give you guys a preview of the cheesesteak. They say Philadelphia is supposed to be, you know, the place for cheese. Like, we're from New York, and we don't do pretty bad. We do pretty good there too. So let's see what happens. So we're here. We're at the Wells Fargo Center now. As you can see, they got an interesting complex out here. I think will make that part of, you know, On Second Thought. You know, we're from New York area. We deal with Madison Square Garden, the greatest arena in the world. But here's it's interesting because they have all three complexes together. I didn't know that. So you got a Citizens Bank, which is the baseball. Then you got the world champion. Let's give them the credit where credit is due. The world champion Philadelphia Eagles. Lincoln Financial Field is over there. And here's where you got the lowly Philadelphia 76ers. Let's face it.
Did you say literally?
Lowly.
Oh.
Let's face it. They're not that good. It's a little embarrassing being out here. There's a bunch of losers. Nah, I'm just kidding. But listen, they're having a tough year. But they got a pretty decent crowd out here. But again, it's a very interesting complex. Looks like it could be a disaster if they have all three teams playing. I don't think that would ever really happen, but it is very interesting. But we're here. We're getting ready to go in a few minutes. We wanted to hit another topic as we're here. Isaiah had a pretty good one, so let's hit that one before we head out. What you got?
I mean, I've been seeing everywhere. Haven't checked the standings, but everybody's talking about Pistons, Bucks, who will the next verse in the first round. So I'm going to assume that the standings between those two teams are tight right now. So that's kind of what I want to get into. Who do you want to verse, Milwaukee or the Pistons?
Well, first of all, let's kind of look at that and see, where that's a tight battle. It shouldn't be. I think that the Milwaukee Bucks should be kind of ran away with that one, but obviously they have run into a little bit of trouble. Dame Lillard going down. I think we got into the show last week about the importance of Dame Lillard, but he is down, so that's a big problem. That could be an issue for them. But I'm still going to have to probably pick. I'm going to pick still Milwaukee, I think, to take it on the 5th spot over the 6th spot. Who do I want to play? Being a Knicks fan, it's kind of even. I guess if there's no Dame, no, I think I would rather the Pistons because the Pistons are young. So I think that, anytime you play a team, listen, Giannis has won a championship. So anytime you have teams like that have won titles, it's a little bit dangerous, but it's tough. I'm gonna say I'd rather play the Pistons.
So who do I think is coming out on top?
Who do you think is going to come out? Yeah,
probably the Detroit Pistons because Dame Lillard's down. The Pistons are looking great right now. So I think the Pistons are probably going to come out on top. But who I'd like to verse, it doesn't. I think we'll get them both out. So I don't think it really matters to me.
Yeah, I mean it's a tough one. That loss of Dame Lillard is going to be a big problem for Milwaukee, and just think that. Detroit's an up-and-coming team. I actually like the kid Cade Cunningham, but I think they're young. And so as Aaron said, I don't think we'll really have trouble beating either one of them. But Milwaukee's always dangerous to me. But we shall see. That's it.
I'll take Pistons being the higher seed, but I would rather verse Milwaukee. I know Giannis is an MVP. Pistons don't really this season have that MVP caliber player. I think Cade has the potential to be that player. Yes. But this season I don't think so. Giannis is an MVP. Giannis is a champion. Giannis is Finals MVP. So obviously we can't sleep on those guys. But I'm honestly more afraid of the Pistons than I am Milwaukee Bucks. Prayers up for Dame, because if Dame was on the team, I'd pick the Pistons.
Who else they got besides
Milwaukee?
Yeah.
Well, they traded Middleton for Kuzma, so they got Kuzma. Brooke Lopez, obviously. I don't know how long Bobby Porter's suspension is, but if he's back for playoff, he might be a little bit of a problem.
He got suspended for drugs.
It wasn't. I don't think it was his fault. He didn't even know.
Yeah,
whatever. It is what it is.
So listen, they got major problems. So yeah, I think. Who did I say? I might have to switch that. I said I thought the Knicks should play. I'd rather play the Pistons. Let me switch that. I'd rather play Milwaukee. They got a lot of issues, injuries, guys getting suspended. They traded Middleton, so. That team's a shell of itself. So give me Milwaukee.
At the end of the day, Jalen Brunson, we need you, bro. Come back, bro.
We need Jalen Brunson.
Please.
We're really struggling. But as a sleeper team, watch out for. And I hate to say this, but watch out for the Clippers. I seen them this week. Obviously, you guys love James. I saw most of the Knicks game. Obviously, you guys love James Harden, but if Kawhi Leonard is healthy, he's always a threat, and it's always a big problem. Those two guys together can stir up some trouble. So, what do you think about the Clippers?
I already gave mine until the episode's back. So,
would you add?
You can go back.
Would you add the Clippers as one of your teams that could come out the West?
No.
Just watch out for them.
Too far. Just watch out for them. But look, if they did come out, it wouldn't be a shocker because Kawhi Leonard is that type of special. Particularly come playoffs, I'm not a big James Harden guy, but he can, pop off on you. So, but they're a dangerous team. You know what I mean? I wouldn't want any part of them if I was out west, if I was any team. So, definitely give them a lot of credit. They're a good team. Let's head in. You guys want to head in?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go in. So segment number 3, is a little lighter. Segment number 3, we're out here after the game. So very interesting. I got a few interesting things I want to kind of bring up here on the Second Thought Show. Again, it was a great field trip. We're out here in Philadelphia. We just saw the Philadelphia 76ers get smashed by the Miami Heat, who, quite frankly, are not that good either. But my takeaway from the night, my first takeaway from the night was, first of all, it's great to see live games. I think it's just different. Just like in boxing, when you watch something live and in person, to me, you get much more of a feel for so many different things. And one of the things is you get a feel for how good these players are, particularly the guys that are really a little bit better than the average. And the kid, Tyler Hero, is definitely a little bit better than the average. And just watching guys like that, I always like to watch that because you can just feel their sense of basketball is just different from everybody else's. And it's almost like they're just, playing in a different speed, not necessarily faster. It's just so much more skills, and the game just kind of seems to come so easy and flow for him. Aaron, your thoughts?
I thought it was a decent game until like the third quarter. Then it started to get away, and Tyler Hero started cooking up.
He did.
And it's kind of like, what? I have a mic right here. I don't need to talk over. So I don't know. Philadelphia, they need to get their stuff together. Looking at it, like taking a close analysis, I feel like Philadelphia, they can be honestly a number 1 seed of a conference. But
Yes.
I mean, it's just unfortunate, their situation, injuries. Some don't want to get better. Some are making an effort. I don't know. It's a complicated situation for Philadelphia.
It is a complicated situation for Philadelphia. Isaiah, your thoughts on the game? What you thought? What did you think about it? What was your takeaway for who looked good, who shined for you?
I mean, everybody performed how they've been performing all season. Grimes was a little quiet tonight.
I thought he did pretty good.
I mean, he still had like 15 points, but compared to his new average, not necessarily the best game for him. I think they were really good at shutting him down, and then overall the shots he got off, he was just kind of cold. Nobody could stop Tyler Hero. There's nothing that they could do. If he wanted to shoot it from half court, he would have shot it from half court. He was just getting anything he wanted to go. I was impressed with Adam Bona, the Philly big man. He played really well, very good defensively, very good hustle. Khalil Ware, Miami, their big man, played really good too. Overall just good. I really didn't expect it to go any other way than a BTA kind of situation, but it's still fun to go to the games.
It was absolutely, and as they're both saying, it's interesting to me because again, Tyler Hero, take nothing away from him, the guy is a good player, but again, you just see that he's just a cut above everybody else. He was unstoppable, frankly, from the first quarter on, and he just waited until the right moment to pour it on even more, which he did. I want to touch on something that Aaron said, which I think is very, very important. I do think the same thing, and I'll get what you think. I do think that the Philadelphia 76ers are a team that's extremely talented and here we're going to really dive into this, if guys can just stay on the floor. This is another reason why it's so important to me. And we can go back to the Luka trade, why they traded Luka. I'm not blaming him, but this is why it's important that guys overall have to do what they need to do to not get these injuries. Here we are. We're here at Wells Fargo. We drove all the way down here. Look at us. We're family. We drove all the way down here, a 2-hour drive, which we don't mind. But it kind of sucks to take a 2-hour drive. This should have been a lot more of an intense game. You got Miami. Obviously, Miami's lost Jimmy Butler, but they competed hard. You still got Bam. You still got Hero. Still a decent team. If they would have had, Embiid, Paul George, Maxey. I mean, to watch a game like that, and you have 3 of their top players, and none of them are playing. I mean, that's just, to me, a really big hit on the league, because you come out to see your stars. And Aaron kept commenting that you're looking over at their bench, and there they are. Embiid is there. I don't know. At one point he was doing some sort of dribbling with the basketball. Paul George they appear like they can actually play, and they're just sitting on the sidelines. It's very bizarre. It's bad for business. It's good. We got the clip of it. It's just bad for business to me.
And Embiid's the one in the white hoodie.
In the red coat.
No, not the red coat.
The white coat.
See
The
that?
white coat
See
side.
him?
Okay. His head? He hit with the head?
Yeah, he's dribbling with one of his teammates who's also injured, Jerry McCain, but he's making it a rookie, but he's making an effort to come back. But this guy Embiid, I don't
Jerry McCain's side. He tore his ACL. There's nothing you can do about that.
Who?
Jerry McCain.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that he doesn't
Go
have
ahead.
free will to stand up and do what he wants, but if you're gonna be standing up and playing soccer with the basketball, at least get on the court for a
Right.
game, man.
Listen, you can't blame Aaron for feeling that way. Here he is, a fan coming out to see it. Listen, MB could be injured. I'm not going to question that. But again, as fans, it's just bad for business. It's just bad for the sport that these guys, in my opinion, have to really do what they have to do to stay onto the court. It's hurting your business, man. They had a pretty decent crowd there, I thought. It could have been better, but the crowd was decent. We've had this this discussion on the show before, looking at the New Orleans Pelicans who have Zion, and their arena is absolutely disgraceful, pathetic. The way that their arena is. It's nobody there. At least here they filled it up fairly decently. But you know what? It's still a disgrace to the fans because we're here. Like I say, you have a family that drove all the way up there. And another point I want to talk about real quick. In terms of, again, building up the game, this is going to get me in trouble, but I know there's also been some talk about, the WNBA. Interesting because we saw a lot of women's basketball the last couple of days, and then we had a treat today. My wife got all excited. She says, "Oh, there was Aja Wilson," and I was like, "It can't be Aja Wilson because this woman just walked by. There was no one by her. She was in the middle of the crowd and no one was paying any attention to her. She went back to sit down. My wife said, "Oh, that's her." I'm like, "That." I'm trying to watch the game, to be honest with you, so I wasn't paying too much attention to that. But my wife is like, "Oh, that's her." Come there at the end of the game. I did take a quick look down there, and then at that point, the mascot, for God's sakes, started to acknowledge Aja Wilson. Now, Aja Wilson is arguably, actually, I'll take that back. She is the best player in the WNBA in basketball today. A lot of people, when you ask them who is the greatest player of all time, will say her. I'm not saying that, but I'm not familiar with her enough to say yes or no. But there's people who are putting her in that category. And to have her sitting in the arena, she was not even in the first row, and no one even knew who she was. My point of that is just to say, like, you know what? We're having this big discussion about women's salary equaling the NBA. I mean, that's just your answer, and I'm not blaming her. It's not her fault, but that's just one of those things that you have to really understand business, that if you have your number one star player and no one knows who that is.
They never announced her.
I'm sure they know who it is, but
I don't think so.
She's Miami affiliated.
That's not the point.
No, that's not the point.
That is
Look,
the point.
listen,
Philly, bro.
if you get any player in the NBA that's not from here, whoever's Philly's most rivaled player, if he goes there and sits there, and it could be a former player. If John Starks comes to the arena, who's a New York Knicks guy, if he was here tonight, believe me, he wouldn't be able to walk around that arena and no one know who he is.
But
Believe
I
me.
promise you, if Breonna Stewart was there, they would have said something.
I don't think I don't
promise
know
you they
about
would.
that. I don't know about that. I don't think so. Because again, you're saying that Breonna Stewart is
Lyric Liberty, by the way, in case you don't know.
I know that, but you're saying that she's
No,
a
I'm
bigger
saying.
player than Wilson?
No, I'm just saying, given the scenario, her and Bam Adebayo, I don't really know what's going on with that. They're keeping it very private.
They seem to be together. That's cool.
I mean, it is what it
All
is.
good.
I'm happy for them. But, they don't want to say nothing.
No, but my point is, forget about that. Why wasn't she acknowledged by the crowd?
Disrespectful.
Why wasn't she acknowledged by the NBA themselves to say, "Yo, this girl is in the building"?
Disrespectful.
That's very strange to me. I don't know. Again, that's just a business thing to me. But again, I thought it was a great atmosphere. I love coming to live games. I think, again, you get a chance to just see things in a different light. You really get a chance to see who's working hard, in my opinion, who's not working hard. And again, I hate that, and I'll say this too. You saw a kid like Tyler Hero. I keep giving to call him Tyler Perry. Tyler Hero, who, look, he's good. But can you imagine seeing a LeBron James and how he would operate. Seeing him live.
Oh.
It's just
What are you talking
will really be a treat. And you just really see how good these players are. Like I said, Hero is second-rate superstar in this league. Class in this league. But to see, how easily he goes around the court, I really give him a lot of credit. He really understands the game and really understands what he needs to do on Miami, and it makes him a good player. I always say that about even the guys on the Knicks. I think you started to see that. What's the kid from the ACB on Philly tonight? The guy you said didn't have
Grimes?
Yeah, Grimes. I think you're seeing that with him. He's in a little bit better rhythm here with this ball club of everybody being hurt, of being able to go out there and kind of do something different. And that's why I say even with the guys on the Knicks.
If we gave Grimes an opportunity, the guy was starting for at least 2 years for God's sake.
And what do you think happened?
He
Maybe
just
he just got better.
He wasn't making
I
the
don't know.
shots.
I don't
But
think so.
it's not like we didn't give him a chance.
He was our
He
Klay
was started.
Thompson. He was our 3-and-D.
So what do you think happened with him?
He just wasn't making the shots.
Yeah, I
But
guess.
it's the Knicks. Knicks never take a chance on anybody.
Yeah, I think you have to kind of give guys a little bit longer to develop. But I still think at the same time, you know what, it's about players being comfortable within the system and then players going in the offseason and really working on what that system gives them. When you look at Klay Thompson, we covered this before, guys like Draymond Green. Draymond Green is going to be a Hall of Famer because he just studied what the Golden State Warriors need out of him. And, he made a career out of it. And guys like Grimes, you have to force it. I think we have that with Mitchell Robinson. Mitchell Robinson, I think, is a very good player. But I think he has to go in the offseason and he needs to see, okay, I know what I can get, the shots that I can get. Regardless of what the coaches are telling me, I know the shots that I can get on this team. And I'm going to make sure I can make those shots. And that's what makes you, go into a different rhythm like you're seeing. I think, Hero, he just plays in that rhythm where he's just, I know what shots I can take. You can see it from the beginning of the game. Like, this dude, every shot he take, he going to make them. And he gets into a rhythm. He got a lot of confidence. And that's what you see, particularly again when you come to a live game. So I enjoyed this field trip. It was great to come out here. Closing thoughts on the field trip, guys, and the live action, Isaiah.
A lot of fun. Would come again, even if the team is still butt.
You wouldn't?
Huh?
You wouldn't?
I would.
Yes. Aaron, final thoughts on Wells Fargo Arena and what you saw out here today. Did you
It was
enjoy
a good
it?
experience. I feel like the difference between the high schoolers and the NBA is very different.
Good point.
Because I feel like was it high school or college though? It was high school?
Yesterday
High
was
school.
high school.
Yeah, the high
Great point.
schoolers. I
Great
feel like they go for twos more. Like they'll give up an easy three to go for an easy lay per se. And these guys they get the. I mean, for God's sake, Alex Burke made sure he was behind the 3-point line on every possession he got.
Absolutely.
And
great
he
point.
just let that pop.
Great point. There was a few times where they was on a fast break and he backed up to take a 3-pointer. So great point. And to speak to that point, another thing I thought was interesting was, I tell you what, them high school kids, but the referees were letting them play a little bit more. But defense was really on each other and pushing each other a lot more aggressive than we saw the pros tonight, to tell you the truth. But make no mistake about it, you could definitely see the difference between the boys and the men. You could definitely see that. But the high school kids, I have to say, man, they played so very hard yesterday. They really did. Those kids played extremely hard.
Every group.
Every one of them, every game, everyone played hard. I mean, every guys and girls was getting knocked down every play. So they really played hard. Like, that's a great point by Aaron to kind of compare and contrast what we saw. Like you said, a little bit more fundamentals. They didn't shoot as many threes. They certainly moved the ball a little bit more in the high school division. But listen, the pros can hit those threes with a little bit much more consistency, I think, than the high school kids. But
Yeah, but I was looking at the percentage shot. Nobody shot over 45. So.
Tonight, yes.
I mean, Philly shot the ball horribly at the 3.
Philly shot the ball horribly, and they just seemed to get worse as the game, progressed. Philly just seemed to get worse and worse and worse.
Philly shot 13 for 32 from the 3.
Wow.
38 for 76 in all. 6 for 13 on free throws.
So for 13.
And Miami shot 20 for 43.
From threes?
Yeah. Missed 3 free
Yeah,
throws.
shot 50%.
That's not bad. You know, that's not a bad percentage for 3-pointers.
23 3-pointers.
It's not bad, but that's a lot. No. The percentage is not bad. The amount of threes, that's bad. I'm not. You guys know how I feel about shooting a whole bunch of threes, so I wasn't a fan of that. But like I said, interesting game. I enjoyed this experience. I'd come back out here again. I'd take the 2-hour drive again. I'd like to see, a little bit more of a superstar, but I enjoyed it. So we're gonna start heading our journey back. I enjoyed this trip. I enjoyed the last 2 days of watching a whole lot of basketball, different levels. Thank you guys for coming on the journey with us.
What was the final score of the high school competition? You found out?
No.
I don't know.
Kiyan.
Luhai won. That's all I know.
I think
Crusaders.
Kiyan Anthony's team did win.
Yeah. He had like
So
20,
we'll let-
he had like 23.
He had 23. I think he got the MVP. So
Shout out to Kiyan.
Isaiah's guy did what he needed to do, and
Typical.
he was excited about it. And,
Calm.
He did what he had to do. So shout out to the Anthony family, and congratulations to the whole Anthony family. Young boy did his thing, and we're gonna get the hell out of here and go home. It's getting cold out here. So.
It's getting too cold out
Stop
here.
it. No, it's not.
I ain't gonna lie.